Hello comrades, yes it's me, a Yorkshireman, now living in Wales, and I hope everybody's okay. And today comrades, I'm going to have a look at Plaid Cymru. Oh, I forget, power to the people. Well, we do need people power, don't we, to make things better in Wales or England or Scotland, because, oh dear me, it's not looking particularly bright, is it? So, I'm going to have a look at Plaid Cymru, and I'll tell you why, because on the old X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, I came across a couple of posts by Plaid Cymru. As you can see, the first one with the bloke, he basically says hundreds of thousands of people in Wales are still on waiting lists. He means NHS waiting lists, and he gives a date, 2023. Now what I do know is that he or they, Plaid Cymru, were in a coalition with guess who? Welsh Labour, and he blames Labour. Said Labour have still managed to miss their targets. Now, I don't really want to point out an inconvenient truth, but actually Plaid Cymru are also responsible for that, because guess what? They're in a coalition agreement with, guess who? Welsh Labour. He also goes on to say they've got a credible plan for the NHS to reduce waiting lists and reform the NHS for the future. Great. And then this other woman here, Plaid Cymru again, says that a fresh start for Wales is possible. So they're sort of telling me in the messaging here that we need to vote for Plaid Cymru because they're going to be a fresh start. Right, so at this point, some things I didn't know, one of them I certainly didn't know, was this little bit about, look here, they've already had a deal, and this deal was signed in 2007, which genuinely I didn't know about, but I wouldn't because I didn't live here now, then should I say, and historic between Welsh Labour and Plaid Cymru. I then did a bit more digging, and I found the agreement itself. And it was called One Wales, a progressive agenda for the government of Wales. And the bit missing for this is the end date. So it started June 2007, but I can't find an end date, which is odd, because normally these things, people fall out, they have a bit of a calamity, it makes the media, and it's plastered somewhere, and I can't find out, so I don't know when it finished. So there's also a distinct possibility, but this also might have been running as a silent agreement. So these 10 things we can see here might have actually always been part of the joint agenda, but more secretly, until they then did another deal in 2021. But what I did find quite interesting, you can stop the slides, but they wanted to do the classic things, make the NHS better, strengthen it, improve patients' experience, create jobs, enhance tourism. Also we had climate change, but they only had 10 things. So at that point I thought to myself, right, what's the latest cooperation agreement got? And as you can see here, 2021 to 24. And here it is, I found it. And what did I find? Well, look at this, we've got local tourism coming at number 11, and that one now is about levies. So you can't really make it up. So we want tourists, but if you come now, we're going to punish you. Great. We've also got net zero, so that's still making a comeback, and that's getting better and better. Going to number 1 soon, I should imagine. And I've put in there for number 21, public transport, because, well, that's just me having a laugh, innit? However, what is interesting, remember in 2007 they started off, Plaid Cymru only had 10 things to talk about with Labour. Now we've got 46. Now this also explains why public finances are basically going mad and out of control, because I've seen this in the NHS. And what you get is a new department develops, and within the new departments, let's just say it's a government, let's just call it broadcasting, coming in at number 24. A person gets put in charge of it, or a minister or somebody else. Next thing they need somebody else to do somebody else to do somebody else. So then you end up with an empire. Yes, it's called empire building, so they need accommodation, blah blah blah. Well, if you've worked in the NHS or the public sectors, you know what I'm on about. And that way things get out of control. However, those in charge love it, because they've now got more power, more responsibility, and by default more higher wages normally, because of everything else I've said. It shouldn't happen, because this is unmanageable, simple as that. So why did it end? Well, apparently the First Minister, Vaughan Gething, was accused, well not accused, but given 200 grand by some sort of company owned by a man who was twice convicted of environmental offences. But at that point Plaid Cymru said, oh, we've had enough, we don't want anything to do with you, and they called it a day. So at that point I thought to myself, right, so how did Plaid Cymru do in these years for, say, like managing public finances, maybe the NHS wait lists and other things. So I dug out some information, should I say, using AI, because it's a lot easier these days. I've put the references at the bottom, so if you're not happy, then double check it. And remember, they were signed up for this deal between 2007, and I'll go to sort of an election period which ends about 2011. And between there, luckily, there was only a £2 billion increase in public spending. Right, and it then just sort of kept going up and up and up, but we did have a dip. But then we come to the other bit when they re-signed up, 21 to 24, and overall, our bottom line is, that went up about £10 billion. Now your public spending is literally, that's what they take from us in one way or another, or have to borrow from elsewhere. Or sometimes they get the English government to give them more money. So now it's at, guess what, £20 billion. Now of course that's not an easy thing to manage. Bearing in mind, population of Wales is only, guess what, 3 million people. It's been that for about since 2007. So what happens next is then they need more money, because the councils then get less money from the governments, because the governments turn around and say, oh, public funding, we're going to have to cut your income. So then they come to us, the taxpayers, and they put it up in our council tax bills. And I've looked at here, average Band D council tax. So remember 2007, Plaid Cymru, this is in Wales. I didn't live here then, but it's the same in England. It was about 1,162. Now that seems about right to me. But now guess what it is in Wales, and this is again thanks to Plaid Cymru and of course Welsh Labour. It's now coming in at £2,170, so that is literally £1,000 more. And for what? Now this is all because the current governments, and I say governments because you had Plaid Cymru, you had Welsh Labour, can't manage the books. So at that point I thought to myself, right, well, he's mentioned, Plaid Cymru had mentioned, should I say, NHS waiting list. So December 2011, I can't really get the data from anywhere else. It says here 383,891 people on the NHS waiting list. Now that's give or take a few. Right then, so this is when Plaid Cymru were also doing it. Remember, they're the ones who were going to sort out the NHS. So then I went for the other date. This is between 21 and 24, which ironically is literally their second cooperation power sharing agreement. And oh, look at that, would you believe it, it's gone up again, 801,300 patients. Right, so is Plaid Cymru in a good shape to look after the NHS, judging by the previous performance, like this one about a year ago? But I have to say no, not really. So the total figure for NHS waiting list now is 608,000 people. Right, so it's not really looking that good, is it? I also then had a quick look at dental, because I've still not got a dentist. And it goes on here, in 2011, NHS dental waiting lists in Wales were already a concern. 100,000 people waiting, now 190,000 people waiting. Right, and in both these periods of time, Plaid Cymru have had an involvement in the government. Right then, so I then looked at the NHS budget, and when I go back to the time when I'm thinking that Plaid Cymru was still getting involved in it all, the NHS Welsh budget was £6.379 billion. Right, now of course, what is it now? Well, let's have a bit of a look. Between these key dates, 23 to 24, £10.9 billion. Prior to that, were £9.2 billion, and now the total allocation is £11 billion. So, Plaid Cymru have been part of this in one way or another, and literally they've not seemed to manage the NHS budget, or the waiting list, or the dentist waiting list. So they're not really selling themselves to me as a fresh start or a party which is going to manage the NHS. Right then, so I then thought I need to be more positive. Let me look for where they've been successful, and I found some, and it's this bit here. Again, recent increases, 2024, speeding offences on 20 miles an hour and 30 mile an hour roads in North Wales nearly doubled. Oh well, they'll be happy about that, from 25,000 to 57,000. Now again, that will be give or take. So that's the right result, isn't it? So you can just imagine all those tourists who will end up getting a levy, but they'll also get a speeding ticket with Wales on it for something else, or attend some sort of speeding course as a memento. So they'll be rushing back to Wales. So what else have they been successful in? Well, climate change. They only spent £140 million in 2011 to 2015. Good news is 2021 to 2025, that's gone up to £1.8 billion. And I should imagine it's a lot more, because I've already caught them out actually hiding some of the money elsewhere, and I've done some videos on that. So what else have they done really well? Well, 2011 to 25, here are the numbers for government employees. 2011, 5,600, now of course 6,500. So literally we've increased by 1,000. Right, are we getting a better service? As I said, not. But remember, they had 10 things to deal with, now they've got, I think it was 46 things to deal with. That's where the staff come from. Now of course, not included in any of this information are the advisors and people who are working for charity but are funded by the public. Those are like on the books, aren't they? Hidden away. I also tried to find out the total spend for charities. Now I have looked at this before, and the machine said, oh, we can't really tell you this at the moment, which is not unusual, but I think it's about £1 billion. Right then, comrades, so would I be keen to vote for Plaid Cymru? No. Also, now that I've made this video, I've found some more stuff out about them. Right, comrades, thank you for watching. Please tick, subscribe and leave a comment. And right, Wednesday, so enjoy the rest of your week and catch you on the other side.